Welcome to Romance Happy Hour. I am Dylann Crush, and I'm here with Dawn Luedecke and our
Yeah.
guest author, Harlow James.
Hello.
So we do not have DE tonight. DE had a conflict that came up unexpectedly, so she is not going to be joining us. So instead, you're going to get to hear from Harlow, and then you're going to get to hear from me because I had a release the beginning of this month. So I figured we'll fit that in and do it that way. So yeah, so a little
Yeah.
change of plans tonight, but we roll with it around here at Romance Happy Hour, don't we, Dawn?
We really do so well. We are
Yeah.
awesome at rolling with the punches.
So sometimes we roll a little bit better than others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as a teacher by day, I know that very well because sometimes I have to fly by the seat of my pants when things don't work out the
Oh
way
my
I think
gosh.
they're going to. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, so it'll be fun.
I gotta
And
say,
like I said, we're here with Harlow James and we've got Dawn back. So Dawn, what have you been up to? I have
okay.
not heard from you. Like we did Romance Happy Hour at the beginning of January and it's been like
Yeah,
radio silence from you. So what have you been busy?
I know. Like even my mom is getting radio silence because I got a day job now. So I'm like super well, I have like 3 day jobs. And so 2 day jobs in writing. So I'm like so busy that I was like, okay, I I shouldn't I'm not gonna say this. I'm not gonna say that I took a sick day today. So I could catch up on my book stuff.
Hey, I've done
Just
that.
don't know. I'm
Okay.
not gonna tell
I've done
don't
that.
tell my day job.
Yeah, it was
What'd
maybe
you
a
say? What?
mental health day.
Mhm.
Yeah, mental health day is exactly what it was. Only it was
Yep.
very stressful because I did not get anything done that I needed to get
Oh,
done. And I'm just hoping to be able to make cookies this weekend, and then maybe that that will fix everything from this week.
that
It's
will
just been
definitely
going
help
so
solve some
fast.
problems.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm one of the reasons is because I need to get a must love pause to my editor
Mhm.
again, or my agent, I should say, my agent. And it's been a very long time. And so I know she's just like, hello, where is it? So I needed to just stop and like read it. So yeah, that's what I took it so I can get caught up on my book stuff. And I am starting my firefighter series soon. So yeah, I
Oh my
wanted to
gosh,
get that out of the way so I can start.
I
You
seriously
saw
thought
it?
you were about to say, like, I'm gonna start firefighter training or something because you
Oh,
already have
I
so
could
many
not
jobs.
get.
And I was literally waiting for you to
Oh my
say,
gosh.
"I'm starting firefighter training," or something, and I was gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, Dawn, no."
That's a whole different
You
podcast.
know,
Like that's a whole
Yes, yes.
that's a
yeah.
different topic.
Well,
It's like
like, "Oh my gosh,
authors.
wow," and then also, "Can you bring some of your coworkers on to
Yes.
read books
Oh
for
no.
us?"
So I
Yeah.
have to tell you, side note, okay, my story real quick related to firemen. So I had a smoke detector have like a low battery last week. Okay. And it woke us up
Yeah.
in the early morning. Of course, it goes off at like 3 a.m. Before work, my husband and I didn't have time to mess with it. So I get home before him and he it was like beeping really, really bad. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to wait for him. Right. So I go and I disconnect the smoke detector. My entire alarm system goes off in my house because it's
No.
connected to the alarm system. So I run over to the system. I punch in the code, and it's like canceled. The authorities have been contacted. I thought I canceled it when I put in my code. And 20 minutes later, firemen show up to my house. Okay. And I'm so embarrassed, right? But then in the back of my head, I open the door and it's these like two short, like mustache, pudgy, like dad firemen, like not like the ones that we romanticize in our romance novels. But it was a total opposite. And I was like, this is disappointing. This is just really disappointing.
Oh, funny. Well, I
Well,
gotta
what's
tell you though. I
disappointing
gotta tell you.
I was gonna
Go
say
ahead,
what's
Dylan.
disappointing is that it took 20 minutes. I mean, what
I
if your house
know. That
really
was what I
was
told my
burning
husband. I
down?
was like,
Your
what if
house
the
is
house was
gone.
really on fire? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well, I
But
got a story. Sorry, go ahead. I went
I think it's
to
all you, Don.
a rom okay. I went to a romance writers conference in New Jersey. And so it was like this room full of romance writers. and the steam from the buffet set off the fire alarms in the
Oh
hotel.
my gosh.
And I'm talking like they were hot though, because they were like, Jersey guys.
Yeah.
So there was just a bunch of, you should have seen, like, I have never seen so many romance authors just like super, super excited to have set off the fire alarm.
Oh yeah.
Nobody
Oh my
left the
gosh. I
building.
can only even
Nobody left the
imagine.
building. We were all just watching these guys come in, and we're just like, oh my God, this is perfect.
Oh
I
my
gotta write
God.
this.
That's so funny. That's great. And then my husband, of course, is like, you need to put that in a book. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's been done, but maybe we'll find the right spot for it.
Yeah.
You know what though? When you write romance, it's like everything has been done. It's just
Yeah.
how you do it
Yeah.
different that makes it
Yeah.
fun.
How you
So
spin it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that I really try to like strive for when I'm writing, is to do like a new kind of fresh spin on something,
mhm.
Yeah.
because then it is okay, well, yeah, obviously we got, this and that, oh, but it's this way, and so
Mhm.
it's intriguing that way, and it keeps it fresh, and it,
Yep.
entices readers. So that's always what I try to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
That spin, that's what you gotta get.
Mhm.
So Dylan, what are you working on?
I
And
have
you just
been
had a release.
well, I did. January is for Jackson came out January 6th. And so this is book 1. I'm going to read from this tonight. It's book 1 in the Mountain Men of Mustang Mountain series that I am co-writing with Eve London and Casey Rose. And we've got a whole year's worth of Mountain Men coming. So there'll be a new book at the beginning of every month, and we've got a Patreon set up for it. We did a book chat for our Patreon supporters last night. So we've got so much fun stuff planned for that. It's going to be a blast. And we've created this very cool town called Mustang Mountain, and it's in Montana. Not by you though, Dawn. Although,
Yeah.
I might have to do research at some point. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
fun. And Casey and I and Eve, we've been working super close together. And Casey's book will come out on February 6th, and that will be the next one. So yeah, that's been keeping me busy. And then I got the final cover for Make Me Yours Cowboy that is coming out in June.
Ooh.
That will be another cowboy book in the Cowboys in Paradise series. So yeah, it's been busy. And tomorrow morning
So you
at
don't
early, I go to New Orleans for I'm gonna have a girls' weekend first, and then it's it's not really a writing retreat, it's not really a conference, it's like a small group get together thing. So I'll be in New Orleans this weekend.
Oh, how
Oh, I'm
fun.
jealous.
I
Yeah.
I've never been. Well, I lived there when I was a baby, but I don't remember it briefly, and so I've never been as a grown-up. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's one place I've never been either. It's
so it should be fun.
on
We'll
the
try
bucket
not to
I
get into
list.
trouble.
Very exciting.
I went to New Orleans once. We did not get in trouble. I had my children with me, and we were meeting my husband when he pulled in to port there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and the very first hotel we stopped at, so check your phone books, because the very first hotel we stopped at, I had booked. I was getting the dogs out, and my daughter, I come in, and my daughter's huddled in the corner with my little boys, and then she's like, "Mom, there's drugs over there." And I go, and she's like, "They just picked up the book, and these drugs fell out of the pages
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
of the book."
gosh.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
Wow.
"Let's go. We're out of here."
Where were you staying, Dawn? Like, what kind of hotel? I mean, was it not like probably
It was
like
a Best Western.
the Four
It was
Seasons?
a Best Western. No,
Wow.
no. It was Best Western, but those are always like hit
Yeah.
and miss, You either get a
Mhm.
good
Sure.
Best Western, or you
Yeah.
get a really crappy one. The one in New
Sure.
Orleans is crappy, just FYI.
Okay. I will make
Total
sure. You know what? I'm gonna walk into the room, and do they even have phone books in hotel rooms anymore?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
mean,
don't
this one
know.
did. I mean, maybe the drug lord put it
I'll
in
check.
there, who knows? But
I'll check.
you never.
I'll check and see.
Yeah,
I'll check the phone book
shake it out a
very
little
first.
bit. Shake it out.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody has any
Crazy. Anyways,
recommendations for New Orleans, let me know. So,
yeah.
and we have Harlow James with us tonight. Harlow, you want to introduce yourself and talk about what you write? And
Yeah.
Anything else we need to know about you?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really
Yes, our
excited. I've been
pleasure.
looking forward to this. I didn't even know this podcast existed, and then I saw somebody post about it in a group. So just, people are spreading the word.
Yay.
But I am Harlow James is a pen name that I use to write, so it's not my real name. I am a teacher by day, so I use it to kind of help protect my identity, and I teach high school, so I really don't want my students to find my books because it'd be very good.
Mhm.
I've done small town, I've done billionaire. I kind of describe my books as heartwarming, addictive, and steamy. I write very character driven stories, so the characters are telling you, what's going on, not me. And I fell in love with romance novels about, gosh, almost 5 years ago after I lost my grandma.
Mm.
And then just fell in love with it. And so I've been writing for 4 years now, and tomorrow I'm getting ready to. So
Tomorrow you're getting
that
ready.
is my
We missed you.
history.
You kind of faded out there for just a second. Tomorrow you've got what? A new book coming out?
Can you guys still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're glitching a little bit, but we can hear you. Oh no.
Here?
Oh, you're kind of going in and out.
Okay. All right. It might have been my internet then. But yeah, so and doing this for a while, and now it's my hobby, and I love it, and it's something that, gives me time and helps me escape. I think that's what a lot of readers do. We read to escape, we read to get immersed in someone else's world and problems, and so now I create my own. And I have fictional people walking around in my brain all day. It's kind of weird, but
I know.
So have any of your students
I love
found
that,
you?
though.
Because I feel like if they know that you're writing anything, they'll find you.
I know. So, well, my pen name is very different than my real name. So I made sure of that. It's not like a play on my own name or anything like that. I typically don't show my face on my social media and things. I don't. So like I will post in my Instagram stories, but those delete after 24 hours. So none of my posts have my face on Instagram, Facebook. I don't use my face on TikTok. I really try to avoid that. As far as I know, okay, knock on wood, for 4 years, I have not been discovered. So I've done a pretty good job. Yeah.
But now your face will be out there on Romance Happy Hour.
Well, and here's the thing, like if it happens, it happens, and we'll just cross that bridge when it gets to it. But I do try to take many avenues not to.
Yes. Yeah, I would imagine you got to be careful about that.
Yeah. Yes.
So, we are going to have Harlow read first. If you have questions for any of us tonight, feel free to pop them in the comments. And I see we've got quite a few people here. Hello. We've got Sarah and Brenda. I saw Linda, Jennifer. Yeah, it looks like we can see everybody's name tonight too. We've got Chelsea. So, and Catherine.
Great. It's really great.
So thanks for joining us. We are excited to hear your questions tonight. And Harlow, do you have to set this up at all? Are you starting at chapter 1?
I'm starting at chapter 2.
Okay.
Of this book. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I have a book coming out tomorrow. It's the 4th in my Ladies Who Brunch series. So I started writing this series. This is the book I'm going to read from. It's called Never Say Never. I describe it as like a modern day Sex in the City meets How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. So
love it.
4 successful, powerful, career-driven, empowered women in LA who've been best friends since college, and they're just navigating life together, and they're all in their 30s. And the first book starts off, this is Charlotte and Damien's story. So Charlotte and Damien are childhood rivals. They grew up together, and were always competed with one another. And then when they left for college, they vowed never to talk again. And then they ended up both going to college in Southern California, and they crossed paths 12 years later, just when Damien happens to need a fake girlfriend to get a promotion at work. And Charlotte's mom keeps giving her crap about the fact that she's not married yet and she's in her 30s. And her parents are renewing their vows in Hawaii. So she decides to strike a deal with Damien. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, kind of a thing. And so then they end up, falling in love, obviously. But it is a rare and good time. If you love the movie What Women Want, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, like I said, Sex in the City, it's very much of that kind of rom-com feels. And I love this book. Yeah, I'm very proud of it. And Brenda is one of my readers. She's one of my ARC readers who's in the chat right now. And so trust her because she knows. Okay, so we are starting in chapter 2. You're gonna get Damien's point of view in the beginning.
Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna sit up there by yourself, and we will be back when you're done.
Okay. All right, chapter 2. Damien. Knock, knock. You busy? I lift my eyes from my computer to see Jeffrey, my right-hand man here at work, leaning halfway into my office. Not really. What's up? Closing down my browser, I lean back in my chair and clasp my hands over my chest. Word around the office is that Dave has some big news to deliver at the meeting today, something about a high-profile client that he wants to land more than anything. That has my ears perking up. Is that so? And you know who he's going to be banking on to nab it? Us, my man. It has to be us. Damn straight. Jeffrey stands tall again, buttoning up his jacket. I can smell that promotion, Damien. We're so freaking close. Don't I know it, bro? Don't I know it? Standing from my desk, I follow suit and button up my coat, eager to get a seat in the conference room before all of the good spots fill up. This little bit of information just turned my morning around after that phone call with my mother. Nothing like the sweet reminders of my former life in South Carolina and impending events to attend to put me in a bad mood. Migraines should have names like hurricanes, in my opinion, so you know who to give credit to for bringing them on. But then Jeffrey, sweet brother from another mother Jeffrey, just turned my day around with this exciting development in the office. Striding into the conference room, I noticed there are only a few associates filling the seats, so Jeffrey and I grab our spots near the front of the table and wait for the rest of our colleagues to join in. By the time Dave walks in the door, the room is filled with anticipation. Good morning, he says, greeting us as he stands at the head of the table, his hands tucked into the pockets of his beige slacks. Dave has been here since he graduated from college and has worked his way up to a senior account director, which is where I want to be. Goldstein Advertising has grown exponentially in the 5 years since I've started working here, and they're looking for new account directors to expand the business even further and open up new departments. And I want one of those positions with Jeffrey by my side as my account manager. Good morning. We all reciprocate the greeting. I'm sure you're all wondering why I've called this meeting today when it wasn't on the calendar, but it's a good reason we've all gathered here today. A very good reason. Rubbing my hands together under the table, I wait for him to drop the carrot that's metaphorically dangling in front of my mouth right now. We have quite the opportunity presented to us today, landing an account with an up-and-coming product line that is promising big changes in consumer habits. Is it a sports drink, car manufacturer, toilet paper company? You know how crazy people can get about toilet paper. He takes a deep breath and then delivers the news. Remedy, a women's health line centered around menstrual health and products, is looking for their next advertisement campaign, and we want to be the people they choose to help them in this next wave of business. Insert screeching brake sounds. Say what? A women's health line? Menstrual health? You mean periods? Several sets of eyes scour the room, but all of the women in the chairs sit up taller in their seats while Jeffrey and I look at each other like someone just told us that Tom Brady was actually going to retire. This is a huge opportunity. Companies like this that offer the entire scope of women's needs have so much growth potential in the market, and that is why we want to secure this account. I already have a team in mind that I think can bring us success on this front. And even though I know this is nowhere near my forte, I'm still shocked when my name doesn't fall from Dave's lips. Elizabeth, Carissa, and Ashley, I know you three can come up with something stunning to present to the client next month. We have plenty of time to develop the best idea going forward, and I'm expecting magic, people. I feel my brow furrow, still confused over what just happened, as Dave says a few more things unrelated to the announcement he just dropped on us, and then the meeting is adjourned. But Jeffrey and I don't even bother moving from our seats, staring off into the empty room once everyone has left until he finally breaks through the silence. Well, there goes our shot at that promotion. He slowly stands from his chair, exhaling heavily. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? Throwing his hands up in the air, he studies me as if I've grown two heads. I mean, Dave already gave the account to the girls, so what are we going to do? I stand from my chair, renewed purpose beginning to flood through my veins. I don't know the first thing about periods or women's health, but darn it, I'm good at my job and I deserve this promotion. And so does Jeffrey. We're going to go into his office and ask for a chance to make a pitch as well. Jeffrey scoffs, laughing under his breath until he realizes I'm serious. Are you joking right now? Does it look like I'm joking? No, and that's what's scaring me. Jeffrey, you and I deserve this. We've worked our butts off and have nabbed high profile clients that Dave was never able to secure himself. But we're talking about periods, Damien, blood and hormones, and he trails off and shudders at the thought. I know it's not ideal, but maybe this is also our chance to prove that we can sell anything, man. And I do happen to know a thing or two about women. Jeffrey scoffs again. Making a woman arrive and dealing with her period are two very different things, my friend. Then we're just going to have to do some research and learn. Heck, it took me a while to figure out just how well to push a woman's buttons, if you know what I mean, I say with a proud smirk. But once I realized every woman is different, it became a challenge to see how quickly I could solve the puzzle. This is our chance to solve the most challenging puzzle yet. I slap him on the shoulder before I turn to the door with the intent to walk straight into Dave's office and fight for a chance at winning this account, not wanting to waste another second. Jeffrey scurries after me, catching up to me in the hallway. Where are you going? Dave's office. Now? You don't want time to prepare? I shake my head. Nope. I want him to know we're serious at this very moment. Going guns blazing, show him our dedication to winning this account for him before he stands firm in his decision to give it to the girls. Jeffrey blows out a breath. I hope you know what you're doing. Not at all, but that's part of the fun. I shoot him a wink just as we arrive outside of Dave's office. I knock on the door that is ajar, waiting for him to acknowledge us. Come in. As I push open the door, Dave comes into view, standing behind his desk, staring down at paper strewn all over the surface. But when he looks up, his brow rises with surprise. Damien, Jeffrey, how can I help you, gentlemen? Do you have a moment to speak with us? Yes, of course, anything for two of my top guys. He takes a seat behind his desk, but then glances at his watch. However, I do have another meeting in 10 minutes that I need to get to. No problem, this won't take long. Jeffrey follows me deeper into Dave's office, shutting the door behind us. Dave, we'd like a chance to win the Remedy account for you. Dave's brows rise even further. Really? Yes, I stand tall, clasping my hands in front of me. Dave gives us a quizzical look before sighing out loud. Look, Damien, you and Jeffrey are good. Heck, you're two of my top junior ad executives. You guys can sell a sports drink or car to just about anyone, but this Remedy account, it's different. We know. A woman is just better programmed to sell a product to another woman, especially pertaining to a situation that a man has no experience with. He shrugs. I'm sorry. I hear you, Dave, but besides, the female psyche isn't something I reckon you have that much experience with it, is it, boys? What do you mean? I ask, wondering where he's going with this line of thinking. Dave grins as he clasps his hands together behind his head. I was like you two once upon a time, young, unattached, enjoying women for one night only, and then moving on without a second thought. But now I'm married, and it's different. Being with the same woman changes you. So you think we can't sell this to women because we don't have girlfriends or wives? I mean, that's part of it. Being in a relationship means knowing more about a woman than you've ever learned before. Believe me, after watching my wife deal with her period, I have a totally different perception of her life as a woman. And not just that, but the preconceived notions she battles every day, the stereotypes and unrealistic expectations put on her to do everything and be everything, the way she questions her identity all the time. It makes me glad I don't have lady parts, you know? I'm very grateful for my man parts, Jeffrey chimes in, and I fight like hell not to roll my eyes at him. Being a woman can't be that bad. And selling products to women, hell, if it's something they obviously need to live their lives, how hard can it be? Throw some pink packaging on it, make it sparkle with some glitter, and they'll be flying off the shelves. You don't need to know a woman's mind to be able to sell her something. But if Dave thinks I do, then perhaps he needs to think I agree with his way of thinking. I don't like to lose, and I sure as heck don't know that we can win this account if we're given the chance. And this is my chance to finally stick it to my dad, show him that I'm working my way to the top where he thinks I should be, but in a career I chose. Dear God, please don't smite me for what I'm about to say. Well, I guess it's a good thing I'm actually dating someone now. Jeffrey coughs as if he's choking on his spit, but I stand there keeping my eyes fixated on Dave so he doesn't think I'm bluffing. I can feel the sweat running down my spine as I await Dave's reaction. My poker face is pretty decent, but this is not the type of lie I'm used to telling. Really? You're dating someone? It's new. Yeah, brand new, as in I didn't even know about that fictional relationship until just right now. Well, when did this happen? About a month ago. It's someone I knew from back home. We reconnected and realized there were unresolved feelings there. Just keep digging your hole, Damien. And I totally understand what you mean about knowing more about a woman once she's a part of your everyday life. It has changed my view on a lot. Jeffrey pokes me in the shoulder, trying to gain my attention, but I swat him away, continuing to focus on Dave. Dave smiles infectious as he stands from his chair and walks around to his desk toward us. Well, this does change things. I didn't realize you were in a relationship, Damien. Yeah, it's getting pretty serious, too. Stop talking, Damien. Stop freaking talking. I'd love to meet her, and maybe you can give me some insight that might help you come up with a campaign. He continues to smile at us both while my heart fights to break out of the straitjacket it's trapped inside of my chest. I know she can. So does this mean you'll give us a shot at the account? With a narrowed gaze, but his lips still smiling, he nods his head. Yeah, what the heck? Let's see what you two are made of. I reach out to shake his hand, fighting the urge to jump up and down for joy. You won't regret this, Dave. I hope not. Make us look good, gentlemen. Shall we tell the girls they have competition, or will you? I'd love nothing more than to burst their bubbles, but I also know we have our work cut out for us, so there's not much time to gloat. I'll let them know. They won't be happy, but I think having more than one idea to choose from could actually be a good thing. And heck, we could always merge the two ideas if they both show merit. He nods, agreeing with himself. Yes, this is a good idea. Thanks for talking to me, boys. Thank you for the opportunity, Dave. We won't let you down. I spin on my heels, pulling a perplexed Jeffrey behind me, exiting Dave's office and power walking down the hallway until we're both secured behind my office door and I let out the breath I was holding. Damien, what the heck? Jeffrey whisper shouts as I start pacing the room. What the heck were you thinking? I was thinking that it's baloney that our relationship status determined whether we got a shot at this account or not, I bark out. But you lied and said you're dating someone. What the heck is Dave going to do when he finds out this woman doesn't exist? He's not going to because you're not going to tell him. A knock on my door interrupts our conversation. Jeffrey's closer, so he opens the barricade, revealing Dave standing on the other side of the door. What's up, Dave? Did you need something? Actually, I came to invite you to the executive dinner next weekend, Damien. It's usually a bunch of directors, the members of the board, and their wives or girlfriends, couples only. And since now I know you're seeing someone, I'd love for you to tag along. My heart is pounding. Dinner? Yeah, it's always a good time, and it would be a great networking opportunity for you. Give you a glimpse of what could be a possibility in your future, he winks. Clearing my throat as sweat drips down my butt crack, I flash him the biggest smile I can muster. We'll be there. Thanks for the invite. My pleasure. Now get to work, boys. With a mock salute, he exits my office and Jeffrey closes my door once again. I'm screwed. I'm pulling on my hair. I begin pacing again. Yeah, you are. I don't know, okay? I say, throwing my hands up in the air, but the irritation sets in. I just think that it's baloney that we weren't given the same opportunity at this account because we don't have vaginas. Kind of like reverse sexual discrimination? Jeffrey asks. I guess, I shrug, and then I reach for my water bottle on my desk, unscrewing the top and draining what's left inside. Well, what are you going to do? Now you have to find a woman to play your girlfriend and bring her to this dinner. I know. Glancing at the time, my stomach growls just as the thought of lunch enters my mind. I can't think on an empty stomach, though. Let's get some food, and then I'll figure out what the heck we're going to do. This was your idea, moron. Why am I involved? Stalking across the room, I get close to his face, his eyes widening as I prepare my pep talk. Because this is your promotion, too. We deserve this, Jeffrey, and I hate to lose. Losing is not an option.
Sorry, I got to get us unmuted and everything here. That was hysterical.
Thank you.
Yeah, lots of comments.
Yes.
People loving Jeffrey and Damien.
Oh, so Jeffrey, is Damien's sidekick in this first book, and the readers loved him so much. They kept begging me for a story for him. So I did. I wrote a book for him, and it's coming out in March. So he's the fifth unofficial lady who brunches, and he gets his own little it's like a 50,000 word book, so I mean, it's still a decent novel, but it's short for me. But yeah, I'm really excited for the readers to get it because he was just one of those characters that they all loved. So yeah,
that'll be fun. So did you have to invent a new fifth lady to brunch then? Or is that a spoiler? You can't tell us where she comes from?
Well, his book ties into this new series that I'm actually working on right now. So his heroine is his sister's assistant. So his sister, they meet in Jeffrey's book, and then you'll get more of her background story, and then that will lead into this new I'm doing a sibling series, which I haven't written yet, so I'm really excited about that. And it's also based in Southern California, which is where I live. And so it's LA and San Diego. And so I'll be able to cross over characters, which I know that readers love. And So yeah, no, I'm really excited on it. I'm about 60,000 words into that book right now, that first book.
Fun.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So do you have anything, Dawn? I saw, I think, one question go by as we were. Oh, I can't hear Dawn.
No.
You're muted,
My
Dawn.
thing down.
There you go.
No, I didn't put this down.
Mike was at the back. I love it.
I didn't want to like clear my throat. Yeah. So I said there was one question, but I did want to highlight two comments, comments/questions here. So we're gonna just kind of reverse a little bit because Dylann, Linda would like to know where her mountain man is.
You know what, Linda, shipping to Canada is way too expensive. I'm so sorry. We'll have to wait for postage rates to come down.
Yeah, for real, especially a package that large, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and you know it would be a very large package. So, but actually, Linda, I did send you a book because I owed you a book from before the holidays, and so that I think it hasn't been delivered yet, but that book is on its way. So that is a very small package, though. So I'm sorry.
It's not mountain man size.
Sorry, it's not mountain man package size. This is kind of like our beaver conversation, not like only on the opposite gender thing going on here. Okay, so this one is actually for you, Dylann. It's a suggestion from Harlow's reader, Brenda.
Okay.
She would like
I saw that.
You places to go. Okay, all right. Just wanted to let you know that that's where you gotta go.
Thanks, Brenda.
Okay.
Follow up on all those.
Yeah, and then we had Linda. Again, she's hitting it for us. Did the plot in your latest book proceed in a way that felt natural, and did you feel manipulated by the storyline? I always feel manipulated.
That's a really deep question, Linda.
Yeah, it is, and I'm really proud of her for this one. So, yeah, Harlow, let's go. Let's let you go first.
Yep, Harlow that question.
Okay. So my latest book, because that's the one that's releasing tomorrow. And this is the one that is the fourth book in the series. It's called Not As Planned. I don't know if you guys can see it. Okay. But this was a single mom romance. And it has a very unique storyline that I've actually been wanting to write for a while. And so I did intentionally plot that book because of the storyline, because there was an arc in that, like a story arc, character arc that I wanted to dive into. So yes, I've also like written stuff in previous books and then written myself into a corner and then had to write a book based off something that I put in there. I try not to do that very much to myself anymore because it's very stressful. And I actually did that in Jeffrey's book that ties into this new book that I'm working on. And I had to like make a calendar. Like I had to make a calendar of the timeline in his book so that it made sense in this new book, you know? So, yes, and it's been both a good and a bad thing each time.
That can get tricky. I mean, especially if you have a lot of crossover characters and then, you know, the book is several years down the line or whatever. And it's like,
I had to do math, like with the ladies who brunch. Yes.
And there was a kid, but yeah, how old is the kid now? If this much time has passed, and yeah, it can get tricky.
Yeah.
I have to say that I don't feel like I've been manipulated by the storyline, but I have definitely been manipulated by my characters. I mean, I remember, I think I've told this before where I was telling my husband, like, he's just not, he's not cooperating. He did this and this and this. And my husband said, you mean you made him do this and this and this? And I said, no, he did that shit on his own. Like, they get a life of their own, and then they turn my story around, and it's just like, okay.
Yep.
And I
I agree with that.
No, that's happened to me too. Or they just don't shut up. you know, and you just hear, or you'll hear, and that's kind of how Jeffrey was. I could just hear him constantly, you know, with his like oddball remarks and his he just like says whatever's on his mind, you know, kind of the thing. And so I even former characters, like characters I haven't, you know, written in years will come back sometimes, you know, and you're like, oh yeah, that's something so and so would say, you know. It's weird, it's wild. I tell people that I'm like, I have people talking in my head like all the time.
Yep. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
What about you, Dylan? Do you feel manipulated?
I was gonna say, I said I don't feel manipulated so much, but yeah, I do. I mean, I have written myself into a corner. But I think, I mean, I'm kind of a, you know, we call it, most authors are either plotters or pantsers, and if you're in the middle, you're a pantser or a plantser or a pantster, or I mean, you know, there's all different kinds of words for it, but I'm kind of in the middle. So, I mean, I always have
I am too.
I always have a plot. I mean, I always know, you know, normally like the beginning, the middle, and the end. But you know, how I get there is always, that's what's fun to me, is discovering, you know, how to get there. And then I'm always surprised when it comes up. And so I think that's what's so fun for me is just kind of seeing what happens. And sometimes like you, sometimes they
I've learned to enjoy that. I've learned to enjoy that more the more that I have written, because in the beginning I was a huge plotter. Like I had to have it all written out. Like okay, this is what's going to happen in this chapter, and you know, and this is what they're going to say. And and then now I just do like a rough outline, you know, in a Word document. And I'm like, all right, here we go. We're going to do this, you know. And then like you said, I kind of know the beginning, the middle, and the end. Or at least the conflict, like the main conflict in the story. And then it's, how do I get there? You know, and then it becomes more of a process.
One of my editors called that like the tent poles. She's like, as long as you know your tent poles, you know, you kind of know what you're writing to next, and then what you're writing to. But yeah, I don't like knowing exactly how I'm going to get there, because that kind of takes the fun out of it for me.
See, one thing that I do in my stories that I love, though, that my readers have started to pick up on is I drop little kind of like breadcrumbs throughout. There's always some little detail. There's always some little detail, you know, about a character or a certain like food item, you know, or like something, whatever. And then it always kind of comes back around in the story. And so I love sometimes when I'm in that like kind of pantster mode and I'm just writing, and then I'll get about halfway through and I go back and I read through what I wrote. And then I'll like, oh, okay, so I jotted this, and then I figure out a way to put that all back in. And I love doing that, because it's kind of got that like Hallmark kind of feel to it, you know, like, you know, there's a reason why all of these things are happening. And my readers have picked up on it, you know, so now when they read, they're like, okay, I'm going to call da 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 da, you know, they like pick up on this one little thing, and they know where it's going to, you know, pop in later. So yeah, I enjoy doing that.
So this is for your reference, Harlow, so that you know, in case you ever read our books, and maybe Brenda, because everybody else and anybody who's been here knows, our thing is a beaver. So if you see a beaver in our book, you know that we've had or at least my books, you know that I had writer's block.
Oh.
So, yeah. So
I like that.
I love bringing up our beaver. I tell everybody about.
I know it's a whole new year, and we haven't even talked about beavers yet. So here we go.
Wow.
Whole new year. So I was writing a logging book, and I had writer's block. I said, Dylan, what do I do? And she said, in your case, or you know, you're writing a logging book, so when in doubt, insert a beaver, and it works no matter what kind genre you're writing, as long as you're writing romance. So
wow. I might have to try that.
So now there are beaver Easter eggs in a lot of our books. And,
oh my god, that's hilarious.
So many Easter eggs in our books. Yeah. So if you ever read one of our books, you'll know.
Okay.
When they have writer's block.
All the books. I don't think
not all.
I don't have a beaver in January's for Jackson.
No. And the ones in which one was that where they hid the cigars in the beaver figurines?
Oh,
That was a
in the
little bit before.
that was Tying the Knot in Texas series. That was
Yeah,
The Cowboy Says I Do.
yeah, the Cowboy
That's
Says I
right.
Do. That was a little bit. That was as we were coming up with that kind of
Mhm.
thing for romance happy hour. So that was
Well,
not
it all
necessarily a.
started because there are nuisance beavers on the lake where we have a little tiny cabin in northern Minnesota, and I had to
Yeah.
go to the lake association meeting, and these people were
Mhm.
talking very seriously about these nuisance beavers and getting a professional beaver trapper to come in and all that. And I just kept elbowing my husband, and I'm just like, I can't sit here. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's where it all started from, because I saw a
That's so
beaver
funny.
when
Uh-huh.
we first bought our cabin. There was a beaver that was like living down by our dock, and so then people would ask if we'd had beaver sightings, and so I got to talk all about the beaver sightings and the nuisance beavers, and it's just become a thing. So,
It
yep, I
has.
guess we
It's
had
a
to
really
start off.
fun thing.
So funny.
Yes, and Dawn and
We'll
I
have to
have
start doing it.
matching. We have matching beaver onesie pajamas
Yep.
from Buc-ee's, so
Oh
that
my
we wore
God.
to
Yes, we
our
do.
holiday trip. So,
And I have and the beavers are the national animal of Canada for Linda. She's our
that's
resident
right.
Canadian.
That's right.
Yes.
So,
In fact,
yeah.
Linda, I have to give you props because we were doing a trivia day at work when we were doing like a team building thing. And one of the questions was, what is the national animal for Canada? And I'm like, a beaver! I know that one! It's a beaver! I know that!
See? Not only is Romance Happy Hour
Oh,
entertaining, it's
It is
also
educational.
educational. But
Oh my
probably in a funner
God.
way than Harlow's used to, I guess, since she's a math teacher, and I can't even wrap my head around
I know.
math.
Oh,
I can't do math, but
yeah.
Dylan, we are running late, and you still have
yes,
to read for us.
yes.
So I think
So
we should
I'll
get to you
get to it.
before
It's always so weird when I feel like when I'm reading, because it's like, okay, now we're going to hear from me. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna read from January is for Jackson, and this is it's a novella. It's about 22,000 words. And I'm just going to start from chapter 1. And the fun thing about these books is I learned how to, because I formatted all of these, I learned how to do some special stuff. So they come with
Oh, I love
Ooh,
that.
some fancy,
fancy.
a little bit of fancy stuff. So I'm just going to read from chapter 1, and we'll see how far we get. This is Jackson and Emma, and it's the first book in the Mountain Men of Mustang Mountain series. And we'll just take it from there. All right, I'm going to put myself up here alone, and then I'll mute you guys. Oh, all right, done. Okay. So, chapter 1, and this is Jackson's POV, and Jackson is one of the reclusive mountain men. So, it wasn't even noon yet, and I'd already had a hell of a day. As I peered at the Nelson's Mercantile sign through the dirty windshield of my half-ton pickup, I eased my grip on the steering wheel. Based on the dark gray clouds rolling in, Mustang Mountain was going to get another storm today. If I wanted to grab the rest of my supplies and get back up the mountain before the snow started falling, I needed to go inside and get this over with. The bell over the door jangled as I entered the store. Ruby and Orville Nelson had been operating the Nelson Mercantile for decades. Their family history with the tiny Montana town went back almost as far as mine. That was about the only thing we had in common. Ruby was hell-bent on breathing new life into Mustang Mountain, while I was more than content with the slow pace and peaceful life. She thought if she could get some of the guys around here hitched, it would breathe new life into our struggling town. I hadn't stepped in when she hosted a women's weekend, and I looked the other way when she gave away free stays for girlfriend getaways at the 2 cabins she owned. This time, she'd taken it too far. I held the postcard with my picture plastered across the front in my hand. She must have snapped it last month when I stopped by their place to chop some wood and make sure they had enough firewood for a while. Up here on the mountain, we took care of each other, though that was about to change now that I'd seen how she repaid the favor. Good morning, Jackson. Ruby beamed at me from behind the counter. Can I get you a cup of coffee? I stomped the snow off my boots and stalked toward her. What the hell is this? She glanced down at the postcard. Her eyes widened a tiny bit, but she covered her surprise with another one of her bright smiles. I suppose you were bound to see it sooner or later. Seeing as how you've got them plastered all over town, I suppose I was. What were you thinking? I was thinking we need to bring some new families into town if we don't want to end up like Wolf Canyon. She set her hand on top of mine and her voice softened. You, of all people, should know what kind of trouble we're in, Jackson. Ruby might look like a kind-hearted grandma who spent most of her time baking cookies and knitting Christmas stockings, but she had the mind of a shrewd CEO. Too bad my family hadn't hired her when business at the lumber mill we owned took a turn for the worse. And how is me appearing half naked on a calendar postcard going to bring families to Mustang Mountain? I slid my hand out from under hers and crossed my arms over my chest. We need women, Ruby shrugged. All you boys living up on the mountain by yourselves? I told you to stop playing matchmaker. No good's going to come from that. She tilted her head and studied me. If you want this town to survive, we're going to need to bring in new residents. With the lumber mill closing, folks have been forced to move away to find work. I clenched my jaw. No one felt worse about the lumber mill closing than me. I did all I could. Of course you did, honey. She held my gaze for a beat, then turned and poured a cup of steaming coffee. Coffee's on the house today. I want all of those postcards taken down by this afternoon. Even though her heart was in the right place, I wouldn't stand for having my picture plastered all over town. I hated being the center of attention. That's why I'd built a cabin halfway up the mountain where I could live in peace and quiet. It's too late. She peered up at me over the rim of her own coffee mug. What do you mean it's too late? My gut twisted and turned as I tried to imagine what she might have done. I can gather the ones we have left around town, but I already sent them out to everyone on the visitor bureau's list. My hands clenched into fists. I'd never hurt a woman, but damn it, I wanted to hit something. You should feel flattered. I've already booked a few groups at the rental cabins. They can't wait to come to Mustang Mountain and see if they can meet their own mountain men. I'm not going to stand by and let you get away with this. I'd need to get the rest of the guys together. If she'd made me Mr. January, no telling who she planned to target next. She cocked a hip and leaned against the counter. I don't expect your gratitude now, though I bet you'll be thanking me when my direct mail campaign brings you the woman of your dreams. That's where you're wrong. I put my palms on the counter and leaned closer to her. The woman of my dreams doesn't exist. It about killed me to leave the mug sitting on the counter untouched, but she couldn't buy me off with a steaming cup of coffee. I didn't know what she had planned, but the guys and I would put a stop to it. Ruby Nelson might be a force to be reckoned with, but she was no match for a dozen of Mustang Mountain's toughest men. We liked our privacy, relished the remote lifestyle we led, and would do anything to keep it that way. I sucked in a few breaths of clean, crisp air on my way back to my truck and pulled up our group text. Miles was ice fishing up at Lake Bliss, but hopefully the rest of the guys would be able to get together. And then it's a text. It says, me, Ruby's at it again. We need to get together soon. Who's in? The message failed to send. Service must be out because of the storm. The sooner I got back up the mountain, the better off I'd be. My truck slipped and slid on the snow-packed roads as I made my way away from town. There were only two cabins this far up the mountain, mine and the one belonging to my buddy Miles. Usually one of us would get out and plow since the town didn't have the resources to maintain all the roads. With Miles out of town, that job fell to me, though I didn't plan on going anywhere for the next few days. He'd be out of town until next weekend, so there was no rush to get out and take care of the road. As long as I could get home, I'd leave it for later. I paused as I passed the turnoff to his place. Fresh tire tracks in the snow meant he'd either come home early or someone was snooping around. We didn't get visitors, which meant the group had been on a breaking and entering spree might be targeting my best friend's cabin. I pulled into the drive to block them in, then grabbed my shotgun from the rack behind me. His drive hadn't been plowed for a few days, so the snow reached halfway up my calves. I stuck to the tracks left by whatever vehicle had pulled in and crept toward the cabin. A big SUV sat halfway up the drive, wedged against a snowbank. One set of footsteps led toward the cabin. My grip on the gun eased. I could easily handle a single perpetrator. As I turned the last bend and the house came into view, I squinted through the falling snow. A woman, no more than 5 feet tall, stood on the porch, her back pressed against the side of the cabin. I followed her line of sight across the clearing to where a huge gray wolf stepped out of the woods. All right, I'll read a little bit of chapter 2. Chapter 2 is Emma's POV. And so chapter 2, Emma. I was going to die. All I'd wanted to do was surprise my older brother for his birthday, and now I was going to be eaten alive by a wolf. I should have known better than to visit northern Montana in January. Should have paid attention to the weather report playing on the radio, too. Then maybe I wouldn't have gotten the SUV I'd rented stuck in the snow. I should have done a lot of things, but it didn't matter now. The wolf was huge, bigger than the ones I'd seen back home at the San Diego Zoo. Even from this distance, I could tell it had to be at least 3 feet tall at the shoulders. Knowing it would most likely be the last thing I'd ever see, I still couldn't help but marvel at its wild beauty. It moved closer, one slow step at a time. If I'd stayed on the track team, maybe I'd have a chance of making a run for a truck. Maybe I'd have a chance at making a run for the truck. Who was I kidding? This short, curvy girl had no chance of winning against a tortoise, much less one of nature's most successful predators. I pressed my back against the outer wall of my brother's cabin. When he didn't answer, I'd tried all the doors and windows. It was locked up tighter than Fort Knox, and knowing Miles, the windows were probably made of shatterproof glass. I seized the snow shovel by the door and prepared to fight for my life. He's not going to hurt you. A deep voice pulled my attention to the driveway where a man made his way toward me through the deep snow. He had a shotgun hanging from his shoulder. Relief flooded through me. Maybe I wouldn't die today. You've got a gun. Shoot him. My gaze shifted back to the wolf, who'd moved even closer. I could see the snow crusted on its muzzle. The man laughed. You want me to shoot a protected species? I guess you'd rather have my death on your hands. Unbelievable. I'd worried about my brother's decision to move to the middle of nowhere. If this was the kind of company he was keeping, I needed to convince him to come home. I told you, he's not going to hurt you. He's a wolf. I'm dinner. What part of that equation isn't making it through your thick skull? My grip on the snow shovel tightened as the wolf moved even closer. He was only about a dozen feet away from the steps leading up to the porch. If he came any closer, I'd pee my pants. Hades, come here. The man held out his hand and the wolf scampered toward him, gracefully leaping through the snow. I let out the breath that had been lodged in my throat. Don't tell me you have a pet wolf. No, Hades doesn't belong to anyone, but I took him in when he was just a pup. He's like a mascot for the town and was probably wondering why you're trying to break into my buddy's cabin. With the threat of death by wolf mitigated, the reality of my situation took hold. I came to wish my brother a happy birthday. Now that I'm here and he's clearly not, I realize how stupid that sounds. I tried to call but couldn't reach him, so I figured I'd take my chances. Emma? How do you know my name? I squinted across the distance separating me from the giant mountain man. Hell, the last time I saw you, you were what, maybe 17? Jackson? There was no way the burly bearded man making his way toward me was my brother's best friend from college. Miles brought him home to Southern California for spring break during their sophomore year, and all my friends and I had drooled over him. He climbed up onto the porch and swept me into a huge hug. It's good to see you, Emma. It's good to see you, too. Too good. Though it couldn't be more than 20 degrees outside, my cheeks heated. I pulled back and took a good long look at the face I'd always pictured as the hero of every romance novel I'd ever read. I'll stop there. So. There.
Oh. Very good.
Harlow's got to unmute herself, I think. So yeah, it's a short, just about 20,000 words or so, but
oh, nice. So
that's a sneak peek of the Mountain Men of Mustang Mountain series. So two totally different book styles tonight, because Harlow's was all funny and snarky, and this one is I mean, there's some humor in it too, but it's more steamy contemporary, just straight up contemporary. So
yeah, love it though. It was really good. I mean, I was like there the whole time, so good job.
Yeah, Hades is actually like the town mascot, and so Jackson rescued him when he was a little pup, and so Hades kind of looks out around the town and visits everybody, and goes to the different stores, and they all have special treats for him and stuff. So he's going to be a recurring character throughout the series, as is Ruby, who is trying to set up all of the mountain men. So, but we've done something fun with this series that we've done is over on our Patreon. We've created like a screensaver, a desktop screensaver, and a phone screensaver that has our mountain man and a calendar for the month. So like January's calendar has Jackson on it, and February's will have Ford, and then we'll keep going through the whole series.
That's awesome.
So that's what's been.
Oh, I like that.
super fun with this is that there are actual,
Yeah.
goodies and stuff that can go
Yeah.
along with it. And then we are
That's
going to
something I
be,
really want to do. Is
yeah,
do
it's
like
going to
the
be fun.
I love
merch.
that it's
Yeah.
I love that it's a Montana matchmaker.
Mhm.
I'm partial to
Mhm.
Montana. I think we know.
I know you are. John lives in Montana.
I do.
So, and then
Yeah.
we're going to be doing a Kickstarter where we're going to be offering some book boxes and some other exclusive swag and things like that. And
Oh,
the
fun.
bundle, because it's, Casey is writing half the books, and then Eve and I are writing half the books, and so it will have like the bundles of all the books together and everything. So, oh, thanks for posting.
Yeah.
I see that you just put the link to
Yeah.
the Patreon in the chat. So, Jennifer,
I'm
there
gonna
are 12 books in the series. And if it goes well, like we talked about, Mustang Mountain now, I feel like we've created this town and we have a map and everything. And I mean, both of us are super invested in it. And so, if our Mustang Mountain men do well, then we may be doing more Mustang Mountain, I don't know, firefighters or cowboys or something.
Yeah.
So,
How fun. I'm gonna have to
yeah.
get on this Patreon thing. I've never done Patreon. I don't know why. But
There
now
are
I'm gonna do it.
there are a lot of people on Patreon, and then there are, I know somebody was just saying Kickstarters. Yeah, Jennifer, Kickstarters are getting popular. I have gone on and backed a few of them. There are a couple up there right now that are really cool. So yeah, if you
Yeah.
want to check that out, go over to Kickstarter and take a look, because I know Jennifer Probst has one going right now with a special edition of one of her books. And then I know Erin Nicholas, who I absolutely love. She has one that's coming up soon that will be like a group Kickstarter. I think are there four or five other authors that are in it with her.
She was one of the first authors I read when I
Nice.
started reading romance. Was
Erin Nicholas?
Or Nicholas,
Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, when we talk about beavers, Erin Nicholas has, she has the otters, she's got
Oh gosh.
stuff in her books, and they're all well, most of them anyways, the ones I've read, all of them have been set in Louisiana and down in the
funny.
bayou area. So.
Yeah, the few that I read
So now
were
you
in
can
Louisiana.
go. So now you can go down there and experience it for yourself, Dylann.
That's right.
Like her book.
Yeah. So
All
that'll
right. Well, we do have a couple questions, and we're already over. So let's just.
We are not over. Your clock is fast, Dawn.
I'm doing my phone clock. We're over. Look at it.
Because we started a few minutes late.
Yeah. Well, I think we started at like 6:03.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll give you.
Yes.
Okay. But Brenda had a good question. What's the largest amount of words that you have scrapped in a book because you haven't been happy with it? We're going to let Harlow answer first. Yeah.
I have an entire book on my computer that I wrote from start to finish that I refused to publish. And it was 90,000 words. Yeah. But in the middle of writing a book, I've gotten 60,000 words in and started over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I was going to say I got about 60,000 words in, and then my husband accidentally deleted it. So that's mine. Yeah, that was mine. It since hasn't been rewritten. Yeah.
Brenda, I'll send it to you if you want, but it was just like something with the character. Like it didn't, I don't know. And you know what happened in the middle of writing that book? My laptop broke. I dropped it on the tile floor in my house and shattered the screen. And so I had a meltdown, right? Because like everything I've ever written was on my laptop. And so I had to take, a break writing this book in between to wait for my new screen for my laptop. And then when I like picked it back up, I don't know what it was. There was just something about the character, the man. It was the male, it was the hero. And I was like, something's not right with him. And I had somebody read it.
Mojo.
Yeah. I had somebody read it.
Are you
said the same thing.
So knowing that though, knowing you've defined where your issue is, are you gonna go back
Mhm.
and rewrite it with
I might.
like, I mean, I just had to rewrite my
Mhm.
Must Love Pause for like the 10th time because my current agent said I don't like his personality. So I had to go back and change his personality. So,
Yeah. I might,
have you
never say I mean, never say never,
Mhm.
but I also have
yeah.
another book on my computer right now that I've written 45,000 words are. I've walked away from it twice to write something
Mm,
else, but
yeah.
it's still in the back of my head, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
know
that's the
I
one
need
that's
to finish
calling
it.
you.
Yeah, I need
I'm
to
Mhm.
like a
finish it.
firm believer of I read for the genre that's calling to me, and I
Mhm.
write for the genre that's calling to me. Like,
Yeah.
I need to write
Well,
like I
and
think
here's my problem is something that I'm considering doing, which I've never done before, okay, is series hop while I'm writing.
Mm,
So I've
mhm.
always gone through an entire series and wrote the series cohesively because once you're in that world, like when I wrote the fourth book in my series that comes out tomorrow, it was so easy because I was already in the world, the world's developed, the characters developed, I knew what was
Mhm.
happening, da 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 da. It was not a big deal. But when you series hop, and there's authors that do it, I feel like how do you bounce worlds like that, and like
Mhm.
keep everything straight, or is it mood writing? You know how we talk about mood
Mhm.
reading? Is it mood
Mhm.
writing?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's what I'm starting to get toward, in
Yep.
having done this for 4 years. Because I have small town romance series ideas in my head. I have two of them. And one of them is that book that I haven't finished. It was the start of another series that I was
Mhm.
going to
Mhm.
write. And I walked away from it to write Never Say Never. And then that series
So
blew
I
up. And it was, so I know I made the right
what
call,
Mhm.
you know?
what I tend to do in that situation is I end up going and just writing the first chapter
Mhm.
and then I get it like down. So I know, oh, okay, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing. And I kind of get it out of my system and then I go and focus on, my series that I'm currently writing. I don't know. That's just
Yeah.
me though. Like that's how
Well, I have
when
half
I
a
get like
book.
that, like,
Now I almost feel like
yeah.
if I were to go and pick up where I'm at in this book, it would be like two different reading experiences. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I
Yeah.
wrote half of it a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
but it's
Yeah.
still in the back of my head. This story is still in the back of my head and I want to
Yep.
tell it, And so I'm
Mhm.
like, what do I do? Like, I don't know. Um,
Uh, you know, what you could do is Vela it. Like do a Kindle
oh
little
yeah,
chapters
I
at a
haven't done
time
that.
Serialize it.
until you yeah, serialize
Hmm,
it.
that's an
Well,
idea. That's
and I
an
know
idea.
some authors who will work on 2 or 3 different books at a time. When I have tried
Yeah.
doing that, I end up putting the wrong characters in the wrong book.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work for me, but I know some authors who will, write one book in the morning and then they'll write in another book in the afternoon.
I couldn't do that.
I can't keep all of that in my head
No.
at any
Yeah.
given time. So that doesn't
If
work
I
for me.
wrote full time, maybe. But right
Right.
now, like my writing time is so precious. And when
Right.
I'm at work during the day,
Mhm.
I'm struggling between teaching calculus and what my
Mhm.
fictional characters are saying to me. It's very
Mhm.
hard. Okay. So, like, when I get to have a chance to sit down and write, I'm like, okay, wait, what were they saying
Yep.
earlier during third period? Like I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
I totally get that because like even the word calculus kind of just stops right here
hmm,
before it like
hmm,
gets into my brain. Like I'm
yeah.
not math whatsoever. So I get
Well, it's
you
just wild to me
because
that I do both. Like I read, write, and
it's
then
super wild.
yeah, it's
Well,
Honestly,
crazy.
you
I gotta say when
obviously need a creative outlet.
Yes.
yeah,
That's what it
for
was.
sure.
And when I
Yeah.
found it, it was like so much clicked for me,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I use so much of the left side of my brain
Mhm.
to do what I do. So this taps into that right side. But I
Yeah.
tell you what, I get tired. Like my brain gets
Yeah.
tired because I'm constantly
Yeah.
bouncing back and forth between the two. But yeah.
Probably why you're doing dry January right now.
Yes.
Well, Dawn,
Oh.
we are over now. I did
We
see
yeah.
I don't know if there are any other questions. I did see Sarah had one last one. Do you do signings, Harlow, and will you be at any signings this year?
So I have applied for 2 for this year. And I haven't heard back on either one of them yet. So I'm still waiting.
Okay.
But it is definitely on my to-do list for this year. I want to do one. It's something I haven't done yet. And now that I feel like I have like a pretty strong, like readership and following stuff, it would definitely be worth, me taking a weekend and I did get to go to Book Bonanza last year though in Texas as a reader.
Nice.
But it was really cool when people came up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, you're Harlow James," because I do show my face in my stories from time to time. And, and so some of my readers, I got to meet my readers and they asked for my autograph, and that was really cool.
Oh,
So,
fun.
yeah, that was like, I had like called my husband. I was like, "Oh my God, like somebody asked me for my signature, on their book." It was so cool. But yeah, so it's in the works.
Yeah.
It's in the works for sure.
Yeah.
But I spend most of my time on Instagram. I have a Facebook group. I'm on Facebook. And I have a newsletter, I have a website, I got all the things. So follow me wherever and hopefully you'll take a chance. And I'm gonna give away a signed copy of Never Say Never. Okay. And I also have a special edition paperback. I did a whole special edition line for the series. If you can
Very
see.
cool.
Each of them have a flower on them that is a tattoo that the girl has. So they have matching tattoos that they got, and the flower on them is each girl's tattoo.
Very cool.
So
I love it when the covers and things like that all have meaning. So very nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This has been a blast.
We have enjoyed having you. We told you that it would go by quickly.
Yes, it did.
And it always does.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you guys know where to find us. romancehappyhour.com for our website. If you want to check out the Patreon, I think the link was put in the comments. And then you can find me I have a reader group, newsletter, all that fun stuff. And actually in my reader group, we do a monthly Crushing It Crew challenge. So if you want to check that out, I have a monthly contest. So head over and check that out. And then I'm going to follow up with DE and see about the prize. Since DE wasn't here, I don't know if we'll save it for the next one, but I'll go ahead and we'll pick a person at random and I'll give away a copy of January is for Jackson. So I know when we switch things up on you guys at the last minute, it gets tricky, but we'll take care of you as we always do. So. And next month, Dawn, we'll be back in February. We are like twice a month now through until we get to November.
Till November.
So, Yep. So always the second and fourth Thursday. And feel free to go back and listen to any of our past shows, either on our website or our YouTube channel, or on the podcast. And if you do listen on the podcast, please leave us a review because that helps us get more visibility. Anything else you want to add, Dawn?
No. Nope, I'm good. Like I just loved this episode. It was great. I loved it.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Harlow.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Absolutely. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.